Welcome, welcome to my lovely IHP community and the 5D Collective. And to anyone who is new, our 5D Collective are a bunch of integrated brains, bilateral. So they do emotions and thoughts with ease. And even if it's not easy yet, thanks to mindfulness, mindset, and mindset practices, it will be easier every day more. No dragging of pain points. You own the sense of self, you have integrity, and that's why your eternal child comes out to play and is consistently within every one of us. Remember that, but it can only be accessed from a place of love. And some people will not choose to be in their body's state of connection, so they won't anchor in the ventral energy and that love frequency that comes only when you have a internally securely attached whole self. Okay, so we're going to leave alone 3D 40. And we are going to continue to focus on the healthy, self-worth, self-empowered collective that we get to build at an inspiring human potential podcast and more on YouTube and elsewhere. Excuse me, my voice. Sometimes people don't know how to speak. Yes, and that is why good therapy helps anybody to become mentally, emotionally, and physically mature enough to be able to speak. Others of us don't lose the power of love, and the power of our eternal child word. My 3-year-old, she's here because my mom, she allowed me to speak it all up, and then my body and my twin, and so your first group, and my body though, nervous system. Stephen Porges points out it's not the events that happen to you, it's how your body will respond, and that's your window of tolerance or window of welcome to emotions and the depths of your emotional plane. And then your whole self is maintained with secure attachment. The ones who get it back, the earned secure attachment, they join us too. Okay, so the people who are here are knowing love is patient, kind, and it doesn't take. It gives and it expands, which is really fun. So our 5D Mystic Empowered Feminine Masculine group, they're coming together. We might have some channel guidance in a little bit because I have some cards from our lovely channeling of yesterday. And it's a theme. It's a theme throughout the week, so you can expect it to continue. This is how the 5D Collective works, or at least this 5D Mystic Mentor content creator podcast host, is that I pick up on a theme, and then I touch base with my 4D Collective because we're all friends, even if we're not frequency in the same light. Yeah. Remember, there's always going to be expansion of consciousness, so you have different frequency because if somebody doesn't take seriously healing their trauma, they're going to want a way to be with a group. And you've got a fancy lady man in suit who are giving them plenty of room to keep on being a group. And in their low frequency they go, it's Diego's family all by themselves without, Sid, Manny, or Diego. So we're not over there. We know how to say, hey, this isn't going to work for us. And so we keep building healthy relationships, the kind that says, here's my healthy boundaries, without saying, you're trauma dumping on me. So spiritual bypassers, yeah, they're like waiting for their emperor to come make sure that they can be empresses, and it's amazing. Their 12-karat golden rings are just going to be as fabulous as can be. And well, a lot of other people with empty vases. So the body is not alive when you are a person who doesn't have your eternal child. It's a pseudo-alive, not feeling the depths of the embodiment of restorative self-awareness, accountability, regulation. But again, that fancy lady tells you how she feels about the good therapist, that they will actually try to imprison you. And that's because her 3-year-old is very, very scared. No, her 16-year-old is being spiteful, and her 3-year-old is shamed, and her 1-year-old is insecurely attached, and she's just a facade that looks pretty on screen and is, again, there for the ones who just want to be copycats. So we leave, again, alone the ones who won't understand, wow, I get the opportunity to feel deeply. I think I want that. Oh, I get the opportunity to think deeply. You know what? I want that too. That's what we are here for. Inner growth mindset, mindfulness, mindset practices. It's my mind is everything. Yes, because my bottom up comes from my bottom up, and the left, and the left, and the right. And so from here's the chit chatter. Our left mode is where, oh look, I have feelings. Oh look, I have thoughts. Oh look, I can use the inner growth mindset. Yes, and neutrality and duality. That's when you're ready because your emotional body is connected. You have self-awareness, accountability, regulation, reflection, and no, you don't want to be an asshole to anybody. You don't want to be an unkind asshole. You don't want to be a teenager. You know what I mean? I might not easy enough to be saluted. You don't want to be petty. And we don't pray for people that don't want to choose to go to therapy. We just surround them, mystic here, with therapists. That's all. And then we say, okay, God told me to mind my own business, so I have to respect his wishes. It's called You Have Free Will, but Robert Sapolsky from Determined says you don't. Then again, I mean, really, there's another lady who says it's an illusion to have a self and free will. Okay, sure. Interpretations. I own my sense of self, so I'm going to say, nope, there's a self here, a whole one. There's also free will here, but I can accept the conscious will just because it's not really free. I mean, I can't be, I'm going to do soon enough to be saluted and be mean to you. I mean, I could, but my body is smart enough to know you're 4'9". You stand no chance. He's a man. Remember, he wants to choke you to death so that he can, prove his super low self-esteem ego. It's really unfortunate, men. I hope that you can continue to grow with smart men, emotionally deep men, and men who are actual men versus what I get to still witness as a 44, almost 45-year-old woman. Masculines are unimpressive. I'm a feminine, I'm empowered. Also, distorted feminines are unimpressive, and they all come together with their 12-karat golden rings and everything else, and they really could use Terry Real so that they could be an actual mentally, emotionally, and physically mature couple who can have a good time because we're an ecosystem. As Terry Real points out, which means it's not you against me, it's us together as a team, and guess who doesn't know what team playing is and teamwork is? Every fucking person who is a cheerleader of their own self. Yeah, we're going to talk about that one. So the 43D who is going to be in protection, they are not team players. They consistently have assumptions around each other. They consistently don't even know how to talk when splinters or ruptures happen. They're all emotionally immature, mentally immature, and really petty because, again, the unkindness from their childhood trauma, they live it like it's the coolest thing ever. It's not. It's actually unfortunate business that you don't take seriously going to heal it. And when somebody says they're a healer and they say, you're trauma dumping on me, that's not a healer. Not only do you heal your own self, but that's an egotistical spiritual bypasser who just basically disrespected another human being by being reactive because they didn't know how to just say, I'm so sorry you're going through all this shit. Maybe a therapist would be of good service to you versus, how dare you come in my email, trauma dump, and da-da-da-da-da. I mean, you're beginning a debate in email. Didn't you just know how to say thank you, but no thanks? Anybody learn any good manners? I know I did. If you can't say something nice, say nothing. But then again, I'm a mentally, emotionally, and physically mature eternal child. So I didn't get lost, and I didn't play God, which is where all those spiritual bypassers and anybody who doesn't know who wins, again, I mean, really, it's not hard. They like to keep themselves entertained with their superhero, supervillain stories. It's not entertaining. There's no Lucifer. Again, there's just trauma charges and a lot of non-bilaterally integrated stupid people. They're stupid to me. They're smart to the ones who like to follow their mouths. And I mean, I'm not, again, fooled, and I'm not going to tell you that we are going to be all together. No, actively we're not. Some people choose fear. They just think they're not choosing it because a teenager likes to lie to him, her, or their self. As always, I don't find teenagers impressive. They all were unimpressive. And when they're grown-ups, well, they have no eternal child. They have no aliveness. Seeing pseudo-aliveness on screen is really unimpressive. Seeing people with basically fragments of themselves, again, unimpressive. Calling it time jump, unimpressive. It's almost like I'm watching cartoons on TV, but it's actually people who have no idea that they could be healing their brain and their mind and their body and their heart and their self, and then they'd be a whole much more fun with all their clairs because we can still have clairs. They don't disappear. Your spirituality stuff don't disappear. You get better at having a good time with all people, and also at doing things instead of feeling pointless, which is where some other people go. We are all meaninglessness, yes, but we're also meaningful. Do you know to who? To our herd. That's who. So the fact that some people awaken to the truth of where suffering lies, I knew about it a long time ago. Jesus told me how to help people. It's you choose with your heart. That's it. I think you're beautiful just the way you are. If you don't welcome it, I know how to handle it. Thanks, Stephen Porges and Deb Dana. I'm just going to leave it alone because you think I'm toxic positive, and that's okay. This is going to be good. Or stupid. That's okay too, as long as I can get out of that room as quick as can be. So the eternal child, again, we are consistently present with those of us who have either maintained our eternal child or gotten it back. Okay, so it's access from a place of love, curiosity, and understanding, because we all have flaws and imperfections. We embrace ourselves, and we are also embraced by other who is anchored in ventral or is trying consistently to get there. Okay, so that's when you are going to know your own soothing of your inner child and being seen and soothed by other. Okay, so it is in the embrace of yourself and or another who is anchored in ventral that you and your eternal child can be seen, soothed, shared, expanded, reclaimed, and made to feel safe and whole. This has to be something that feels comfortable to the other. which is why I was saying not everybody's going to be in our 5D frequency. They have plenty of time, of course they do, until they're alive, but life will keep biting, as Sadhguru points out. Why? Because when you have tower moments, really they're not tower moments. There's actively a bunch of people I knew since high school. I mean, wow. Can I just say no? I won't say it because I feel bad every time I think of those eternal children who will never see the light of day, just because these human beings disregarded a very good group of mental health professionals who have been doing research for like a long time. I'm just learning from them the past 3 years. But every time I'm like, wait, they've been around doing their job for 20, 30. What the fuck? Okay, these college students who are fucking and miserable, they could have totally gone. So it's not about the college degrees. I have a master's. I met a bunch of stupid egos in college, and there's a psychologist who's a man who completely, I thought he was a buffoon. I said, no, he must be joking with his video content. Other people are like, well, he might be playing the algorithm. I don't think he's playing no algorithm. I think he's an insecure teenager of himself as a grown-up, and I can't even believe he just went on screen telling everybody how insecure he is of his sexual whatever you call that, because he said, if my girl, or whatever he says, will have better sex with somebody else, I'm gonna dump her. Like, what the fuck? How old are you? And really, where does that, like, I don't even get that. And wow, on YouTube, but you know how many people are following that shit? Oh, and I have people that I know would be like, yeah, that's right. And that's not funny at all. In my brain, I'm thinking, that's ridiculous. There's no fucking way in hell, but yes, there is. It's not Lucifer. It's lack of integrated brains. I'm so happy there's a solution, and the future will be bright because, while the masses think stupidity wins, that's not what wins. What wins is life, and life is a biology. It is not thoughts. So I know that some people get scared. Don't be scared. I'm not joking. God always wins. I'm an empowered feminine, not a distorted one who doesn't know who God is. And that's why I laugh every time I think of the ones who want to play God. I'm like, you really don't know what faith means. I mean, into the unknown is not scary for those of us who already were saying, okay, God, if I see the monster, I'll let you know. I'm 44. There ain't no fucking monster. And then I got Claire's, which made me even more like, wow, I'm seeing shit like a bunch of lives that I lived, a bunch of things, and I'm not like destabilized. All these other people that I meet are like out of it, and I'm like, okay, wait, what's the deal with that? And then the therapist explained it to me, and they disregard going to therapy. And there's shamans who tell them that too. Don't go to therapy, come to me. I'll save you 20 years of therapy. No, you won't. You won't help them to claim their child parts, to get their window welcome. You won't help them to actually know how to use their prefrontal. They're just going to all touch each other and do shit that's re-traumatizing and call it a group. And wow, yeah, that's not really fascinating at all because, again, lack of depth. They're just people who are actively growing older by the minute, but their energies are not expanding or increasing. No, you got a bunch of... And on that note, so wholeness for us instead, it is achieved and felt thanks to our child parts being seen, soothed, and reclaimed by you. Again, you have to claim yourself with unconditional love and integrity. If you don't say, yes, I want to be me, you ain't going nowhere. You're going to just hang out with those other people, which again, it's not a bad group. I have plenty of them around. One of my friends, you know about it. No, not that one. He's not my friend. The other one, you want it. Why don't you give it to him? So this friend of mine, I think he has alters. He's adorable. And the last time that we got to meet up, he thought I didn't want to introduce him to family because I'd be ashamed of him for some odd reason. And we've had our little ups. No, we haven't. He's just done bullshit things as anybody else who can be an immature person because they're 8-year-old with a 16-year-old. You can't expect anybody to be mature. I mean, really, it's cute. So as he's telling me this, you don't want to introduce me. I'm like, of course I do. Come on over. And he was all happy and I was happy. And then he got to leave and go hang out with his other friends. And that's what Pinocchio does. He keeps on hanging out with a bunch of people. And every now and then, the little fairy god. No, I'm not a fairy godmother, but we could say the person who is basically aware of like, illusion, of self. I see. Very interesting. I think I'm not under a spell. I got a spell on you and now you're mine. And so, by the way, when you are mystic and people think that you can cast spells on them, they don't understand that an empowered feminine would never in a million years. You think that I would cast a spell on you to make you fall in love with me? Excuse me. Do you know how desperate that sounds? Do you think I have low self-esteem? Because the only time any woman, man or they, would want to fucking cast a spell on somebody to be fallen in love with, it means you don't know your worth. Wow. I mean, is that not... No, There are people who will actively continue to pursue a toxic relationship no matter how much you tell them about good advice and good advice everywhere. Oh, believe me, it ain't funny. I ain't laughing. This is sad. This is sad business, people. They all think that they're superheroes, though, because what I'm talking about, a good portion, they're all mystics. Yep. Oh, yeah. Their superhero powers are all over the place. The other ones, they just keep calling Lucifer out and making it into like this whole, I don't even want to go there because, so here's the deal. We got two frequencies. We got the 4D and the 3D. The 3D are just, my gosh. I don't even know what stories I'm going to have to use with them because they're totally unimpressive. I'm just thinking, do you remember when in the times of whatever it was, they'd slap each other with a glove to, you, my honor? That's basically it. But it's not actually cool, meaning don't go near them. Like, they're dangerous. Any of you who are mystics, I'm not kidding. These are the ones you do not want to engage with. Don't tell them you're a mystic. Let's burn them to the stake. No, they won't do that because luckily we're in the year 2025. But pretty sure they won't think of you in a good way. They just might have to be civil. So anyways, yeah, once you own your sense of self, you're pretty cool with anybody saying, I think you're a piece of shit. Really, you don't know how to tell that to my face. So I know that part. So we are in the lead as inner child adults. So you grow consistently more and more emotionally, mentally, and physically intelligent, because again, integrated brains do that, bilateral, vertical, overall. Okay, so over time, mental, emotion, physical mastery, maturity are what you continue pursuing, and you create a lifestyle around it. Come on over, 5D Collective. So we're mystics and mindfully, spiritually living and loving people. We embody internal secure attachment, which is why we welcome each other and our relationships with open arms. We do know about flaws, fears, moods, and differences. They are shared as functional inner child adults who are self-empowered, have healthy self-worth, and no self-regulation in the absence of others and in relationships, okay? So internally securely attached people and mystics live mindfully, again, spiritually, and that's why we are that 5D collective in the frequency of the 5D, which is that coherence, love state, and the state of consciousness. So it involves expanding. If you don't expand from a place that is an open heart, which is open-hearted spontaneity, no matter what shit went down in your life, you say, I believe in miracles. No, right? I believe in angels. And that is one of those songs that makes me emotional because every single human being has an angel. It's their eternal child. And no, I don't want to use the devil thing because that's where people go to demon land instead of Dr. Daniel Fox for personality disorders or Bessel van der Kolk for 20 years to get healed. And so no, I won't equate what is trauma to something that is a monster because monsters live in their head and then they go out and make the world a very unsafe, scary place. So the difference is angels are something that make us all feel good, while monsters don't, and monsters are people who have non-bilateral integration, who completely have forgotten where they come from, meaning nature, and that they do have a sympathetic for reason, and we don't need aliens to come down and be all together. And anybody who thinks that that's what we need to come together, again, is a short-minded human being who doesn't trust in humanity. I do. I'm a human. And that doesn't make me gullible. It makes me a human who has consistent, contingent communication with my body, heart, and brain and mind and knows, yeah, I'm a mammal. I'm going to pick the man even though I don't like them. And no, they're not safe. None of them are. Even the ones who are, you're always going to have in the back of your head. Hopefully you don't want to choke me because I really don't want that. Are you good? Do you have all your child parts together? Do we have any altars going on? What's going on here? I need to make sure. Do we have red flags of some sort? It's not really fun at all. So it's more of a watch for the internally securely attached signs. You'll know when they are there because they're people who know how to talk about their thoughts and emotions. And this is the part. It's not about creating a group of good or bad. It's healthy self-worth people have boundaries. So when somebody comes up to me and says, I'm not decent enough to be saluted, I actively don't feel threatened because that's a biologically rude person who's in the most desperation of their own self, and it's not manipulating. I knew the minute they opened their mouth, I'm like, wow, that's awful. That's how you felt the whole time, and I've just consistently said, I don't want to be your friend. And what, my gosh, go to therapy. He has a wife. He has a home. He has a job. He comes flaunting of his culturedness. I'm just saying, like, there's a whole bunch of ways this human being man comes around, and I chose from the get-go. My body said, no, I'm not into becoming your friend. And that was it. I didn't say anything nice. I didn't say anything mean. I simply communicated effectively with silence and not interacting. The one thing that I, as a person, not because I'm a woman. So when he did this little thing that he did, it wasn't, again, like, oh my God, what an awful person. Oh, let me judge him. Oh, let me pray for him. Oh, no, there's none of my fucking business. He can do whatever the fuck he wants. I reiterated my statement. Which was the second time that I got to see him, I had to look at him because I was with my one friend who was with him. I was like, okay, I have to at least look at you because you made it such a big deal that you're not decent enough. So I now know emotionally how pitiful you feel inside. And at least you looked at me. That's called passive aggressive. Is it really aggressive? It's just an idiot. That's what I think. And it's an idiot that has his own right to maintain his idiocy. So I'm not going to go telling him what to do with his life. And he's not breaking any laws, which is why we don't need to go around saying, hey, everybody come be in the ventral energy. Nope, not at all. Go hang out with the fancy man and woman in suit. Have fun in half land, because that's a half-ass land. We, on the other hand, we're a collective who gets to bring to each other the opportunity to share the depths of life, thought, and emotion in safety and lightness. Lightness, why? Because we are in our ventral, unlike the Zen master who does rumination and is in his laundry. So we enjoy our body's state of safety and connection, being in our ventral energy, and living restorative embodiment, self-aware, accountable, regulating lives. So while I've been doing this my entire life, now I have technical words to explain to you why spiritual mastery and your spiritual awakening and your spiritual empowerment and all this empowered feminine, it is about your body and heart and your gut. You don't have a good gut until you don't have an eternal child alive. And that's the one thing that people don't understand. So if you wake up suffering, and if you wake up and notice you're not building relationships, and then you notice a lot of bullshit happening, well, guess what? It's not about good or bad. It's go to therapy. Patrick Tiahan. Because you're repeating what is your 0 to 8-year-old cycle. Or Terry Real, he's awesome too. So the people who pursue their whole self, that's who gets to then say, yeah, I love HP. I want to be around people like that, and the smart scientists. And then we spot the ones who are doing what they're doing and are like, ha ha ha, let's have fun making fun of them. But they all serve a purpose. I'm not kidding with you, because we wouldn't be anywhere without knowledge. I wouldn't be here without the scientists. Yes, I'm spiritual. I wouldn't be here without the scientists, my spirituality, my mysticism, my relationship with God, Jesus, Holy Spirit. And then, yes, tidbits of here and there from all the 4D collective. I thank every single one of them. Every time they made us some bullshit story, I kept on getting more and more frustrated because they were egoic. And I'm like, what are you doing? Where's your spiritual nature? You're not doing anything spiritual. You keep talking about yourselves like you're some queens and kings and mothers and fathers, and I'm like, what the hell, And as I began to become completely aware of all these mystics, they're the same spiritual bypassers as anybody who's still telling you tales of yesterday's news. And so to me, a person of God, they're playing a role that is not theirs, but I know who's going to follow them. Following the leader, the ones who need to feel pretty because they don't actually go and get their therapy, because I don't want to spend 20 years getting my inner child online. That's bullshit. I want to stay with my protection. Good, have fun with the fancy lady in suit is what we can all say, and this is why God is benevolent. Why? Because they won't be called Lucifers anymore. We have knowledgeable human beings who are able to explain. Our unkind human beings, yes, the ones who live monsters in their head, they're all traumatized and they don't want to give it up. And so there you go. They choose to not do anything. No free will, determined. Thanks, Robert. So with Robert Sapolsky's determined, we have an explanation. Doesn't mean they're not going to end up in jail. No, they will end up in jail if they break the laws. It also means that when they're out there, people that are security attached aren't going to want to be like, oh yeah, sure, let me be in a relationship with a person who doesn't take their mental health seriously. But it won't be, you're trauma dumping, you're a vampire. No, that's rude. It won't be any of that. It won't be completely any of that. People, again, who do not pursue personal development or spiritual growth or mastery don't know what they're doing with the words that they learn online. And you will always notice when you have a mentally, emotionally, physically mature person, because they won't be doing any of that bullshit. It's called weaponizing of words. It's not manipulation to smart brains, stable, mature, adaptive, rational, teachable, because you own the sense of self. So you can talk to me like a little piece of shit. I won't feel like one because I'm not one. And really because your bad manners are coming through in every way, single shape and form, and you have low self-esteem. So I'm going to be the person who's bigger, know how to say in equanimity. Also, I'm 4'9", so again, man, woman, or they, I'm tiny, and I'm going to want to leave, not provoke you to get pissy in your pants, especially when you have low self-esteem. Not remotely close. That's the minute of truth that I know if I wanted to say something, I'd be out. Because that's what happens when person doesn't have true self-worth or any of badassness. Is the minute I say something really smart, you're going to hate me for that, quote unquote. And then that's the moment of truth. Do you know how to control yourself? I don't know, but we won't find out because I'm smarter than that. I don't put myself in physically or emotionally or mentally endangering situations. Self empowerment is when you can put into practice this lovely inner growth mindset, mindfulness exercise, and mindset skills that we talk about, and that you can get video practices on the fan based, subscription based model type content or Spotify. We're going to wait until we get a certain amount of subscribers and then I'll roll out with a plan. And in the meantime, if you want one-to-one mentorship, you email me, and it's with the commitment of at least 6 months, masterclass sign-up sheet, workshops, retreats for spirituality people. Come on over, sign-up sheet again. We acknowledge how our mindset and lifestyle choices, they help us to live every day with our eternal child and higher self in the lead, and to build enriching, expansive, and intimate relationships and live life in aliveness, which is really a lot more fun than the pseudo-alive, half-assed people out there. Believe me, this is not funny at all, that they could be out of that bullshit. But they need to be people who want to get their nervous system into the state of safety, which they don't want because their first 3 years of life keep reminding them that it's unsafe to be connected to people, and they keep running away. And then they keep on doing the maladaptive child pattern of behaviors, which are the drugging, the drinking, the fucking, and hanging out with people. And so when you hear the 40s saying, oh, you're going to go for another karma wheel, another cycle, yeah, no, you're just going to keep on doing what Patrick Tiahan talks about, hanging out with people who treat you like pieces of shit and saying that that's life. It's not something that I'm going to say, oh, let me tell you about your karma. No, your karma is your unconscious behavior, but it's not just that word. It's you actively allowing yourself to do what you know is not good for you, and then treating people who most likely will be decent to you, neutral, positive people. They're not treated very kindly by those who have low self-esteem. It's something that we know about, but we don't be like, let me point it out. Because again, emotionally mature people don't do shit like that. It's like, hey, I'm going to know how to recalibrate myself because you just showed me you don't know healthy boundaries and you don't know health when you're doing drugs, fucking, and drinking. I don't care about the whole promiscuity word. No, you're actively getting exposed to STDs. Your brain is going to have holes in it. I mean, how old do you have to be before you figure out how life works? Okay, so some people aren't lucky. Others are. And when you see them in college being miserable, well, guess what? Again, it's not education. So 5D Collective here, we know we're a lucky bunch of mystics and people who get to experience the infinite higher human conscious potential life. And that's every day. And that we share it with others who embody the same 5D frequency and state of consciousness. The depth and desire to let our eternal child come out and play in a world of inner child adults who love to love, laugh, learn, and not cast stones is a choice that you make consciously. You may not have free will, according to people. I still think you do, because you have knowledge now. And that's with every single person. When you go to YouTube and you decide who you're going to follow, and you don't notice why you're following only one group or another, or that you're doing an extreme black and white thinking, or superhero, supervillain, you're not doing. I mean, one, YouTube is social. And that's the one thing that I really notice is people treat social media, I'm an online marketer, as if you're supposed to be learning from it. They don't remember what high school and college are for. In fact, dismissing college is a complete bullshit. Only people who don't know the value of it. But then again, it doesn't mean that just because I go to college that I'm more intelligent. No, not at all. But thank goodness we have laws that make people go to school, because the reality is social media, again, is where we can access and get to more people. That's what I'm using it for. And that's why I'm the pseudoscience woo lady, because I know how to discern. I know where quantitative data is, which is why you only love when you're a securely attached person. And that means that you can be in connection with anybody, no matter what they speak to you. An eternal child is like an empowered inner child. As Patrick Tiahan points out, you're not doing this hypervigilant. No, you're able to say, yeah, you can call me whatever you want. I know how to handle you. And I'll handle you with respect, because I have integrity, because I have a whole self, because I have respect for myself, love for myself, and then I have respect and love for you, because I won't be removing it, because I'm not afraid of you if you're not a physical threat. I won't be in protection. I'm going to consistently be in eustress, which is why you won't notice a difference, which is where neutrality and positivity, again, are looked at by people who are insecure as something that is going to be threatening, not something positive, because it triggers their fear of abandonment, rejection, and a lot more, but really also that teenager who's spiting the very household that didn't give them unconditional love. In the meantime, though, they're not noticing their 0-1-year-old and 3-year-old didn't have a choice, and they're spiting that too. Which is why Janina Fisher says it's not self-sabotage in any of the smart therapists. It's that they're not wanting yet to be welcoming their orphaned parts back home and welcoming the state of safety of their body. They don't want to say yes to the ventral energy, and therefore they don't want to use their prefrontal. They don't want to take ownership, accountability, and reflect on their behavior, the unkindness, and then say, let me go work on my adaptive child projection and my maladaptive patterns. So we don't need to say a prayer. We can. I always do. I always did. The difference is now I'm a mystic, so I just surround them all with good therapists. And then I put them all near volcanoes. And the ones on the top are the 7 to 14 charming. Because they're the ones who actively keep on using their mouths and wielding their words in a way that creates what those who want to think of it as nectar, because they want to not go to therapy, they just, look, they told me they're scientists. Okay. Look, they told me there's still demons. I don't believe in neuroscience. It's just bullshit. So nectar is you're gonna choose what your honey is and what your mermaid is versus who the poison or who the siren is, and it's gonna be based on your ears. And all I know is the ears that can't hear well are going to go towards those 7 to 14 charming, which again, that's why the 7 to 14 charming are on the top, because everybody beneath them are all the poor individuals who are not securely attached, who don't have bilateral integration. They're all child parts of themselves, and they're following somebody who's telling them about a world in the way that they dream up. So they're copying each other. You got teenagers who are copying each other, Peter Pan's lost boys, following the leader, and the smart ones of us spot them and say, oh, look, there's all those dicks. They're all following each other. Do we need to worry? Nah, it's none of our business. They're going to be fine hanging out together in their, isolated environments, due to that being another sign of people who don't know how to come together. I don't want to be around those people. You know what? I have clairs. All those people are bad. That's why I'm going to stay home. You know what? I'm losing people. I'm going in hermit mode, and I'm going to go find those. So anytime they're expanding the 4D mystics, those bypassers, they lose people, and then they change group. And I'm like, you haven't noticed your pattern, have you? You know what? You might want to go to therapy to get out of that pattern. You're just playing out your own karma from your 0-8-year-old. I mean, again and again and again. How many years do you want to do that for? And some people, well, they do it for the rest of their life, which is why it's okay, though. Terry Real says, you marry your unfinished business. So it's not a bad thing, because you get to continue to save your own self, love your own self, and through that, with a partner or someone, you get to play out the entire dynamic. So some people will even have their own toxic relationship, as Patrick Tiahan said, makes sense. And he shows a really cute little skit, and I've seen people like that. It's, again, not funny, but they respect the laws. In fact, guess who's the bitch, the whore, the witch, the evil son of a god? Yeah, raise your hand. Like, you just don't care, because the minute you see unhealthy self-worth people without using their brain, it's like, yeah, sure, keep coming at it. You really don't get more creative, with your insults. I mean, and is it really an insult once it's become this little merry-go-round? It's not about good or bad in this way. This is why smart brains don't do, good, bad. When I use good and bad, I'm talking about, are you an effective speaker? Are you effective at your job? Are you, the good, bad, as casting a stone? I learned how not to do that, because I can be just as bad as anybody else, meaning I can hurt somebody's feelings, and then I'm a bad person, and actually I can take ownership and say, you know what, I'm so sorry, you're right. I'm pretty sure that I broke your trust, and I'm pretty sure I won't be able to make amends with you. There are some people, by the way, and that's because I can respect that some people don't like me. And the way that I live life is not going to change who I am. I have integrity towards myself. And I live a life of meaning and connection with my ecosystem. So I'm going to be with people who welcome me with my own differentiated self, you see? You don't get lost. My name's Maria. It's a whole 3-year-old. There's no question. You're going to hang out, socially speaking, like on YouTube. You're going to go where you feel more comfortable. And the stories, well, we don't do stories here. I mean, we do, but the new kind, not the ancient textbooks. They're really boring, again, we love to love and laugh and learn and not cast stones. We get to be ourselves mindfully, spiritually, with the whole self, and we love, and we have a flow state, and we use good stress, and that's in life and relationships. So we're going to have another episode on that, because love is in the air. And that's for the empowered masculines and feminines who are giving each other the opportunity, as I shared to you all yesterday, to explore together their whole self in a world that is definitely not the safest at all, but it's thanks to all of us that we get to keep on. Fingers crossed, no asteroid hits us. Please, God, let no asteroid hit us. Okay, so there you go. Space weather does affect us. Science and spirituality, they come together, and I get to bring to you human spiritual and spirituality elements to explore human evolution and consciousness. And also we get to do the 5D mystic enlightenment, functional inner child adult life, relationships, new stories, and that's to heal trauma seriously together and bring forth humanity, your humanity. So the first place is your eternal child alive. That's why you get to, again, live from this shared ventral energy state. And as Michael Jordan says, while some people want it to happen, some wish it would happen, others make it happen. You made it happen. You get to be yourself. Look at that. And you get to be all of the flawed and perfect you with unconditional love and respecting others. Not, I'm unapologetically going to be rude to you. No, because it's fun to be able to engage in, the playground of the world again. No, it's not the safest of places, but we know red flags when we see them because that's what a healthy gut does. We know physical safety, awesome. Mental, emotional things, we can handle that because really, what's gossip? Nothing more than just people being people. And so that's what happens as you build a healthy, self-worth, empowered crew of feminists and masculines. We walk around, we walk a walk and talk a talk like Jesus taught us. So we have a good time. We also know how not to, make it into, some unnecessary stuff. Anyways, that's a side note. Again, we'll be back in a little bit. Have a good one.